But let's dive into the Bengals at the Chiefs game. I'm particularly annoyed at myself for not giving the Bengals enough credit going into this game on my weekly picks, because when we did our preview show, obviously I picked them to go to the Super Bowl, hyped them up, but then because they lost to my Patriots, yes, got the Chargers jersey on, but it's just remind everyone of that, Adam. The Bengals played well. They kept Mahomes to his second fewest pass yards in a game in his career. And that's only because the game where he had the lowest, it was when he had that the ankle injury that we all remember. So, yeah, I think even though the Bengals lost, for me, this was a moral victory for them. Adam, they're pretty banged up right now, but they pushed the defending champs all the way. If you were the Bengals this morning and you're Zach Taylor, how are you feeling? Even though you're 0-2, a lot more positive than last week, surely.
Yeah, I would have thought so. It's a bit of a tough loss the way they lost in the end. It feels like a bit of a rough ending for them. But I mean they did pretty well after a really disappointing first week. It was just important, I think, to show that they can sort of like come back and still show that they're capable and are still a team that are not only playoff contenders but can go deep in the playoffs. So going up against a team like the Chiefs, that's away from home, that was really good. I thought that O-line was loads better than what it was against the Patriots. I thought their defense was much improved, and although obviously T. Higgins is still out there, still missing, it does show that they've got a little bit of depth at that wide receiver position. I thought Burton came on, had a few catches, looked all right. Isavas, I thought, looked pretty decent as well. He got a touchdown and looked very good. So yeah, I think that the Bengals have got. It kind of felt like there was a bit of an overreaction to how bad they were in week one. They normally are pretty bad at the beginning. So the fact that they've come back, gone to the Chiefs, put in a really good performance, were very unlucky not to win, it kind of feels a little bit like people should be thinking that they're going to be okay and that they will get enough wins in order to be able to compete and become a playoff team and things like that. So it looks worse than it is for them, but I think they're probably feeling a bit happier now than what they were this time last week.
Fred, I'm going to ask you a similar question, but mainly from your AFC. Everyone knows you're a Steelers fan. It must be interesting for the Ravens to be 0-2, the Bengals to be 0-2, you guys to be 2-0. I think the Bengals in particular probably be glad that the Raiders got that. Obviously, we'll talk about that game in a bit, but the Raiders got that win because the division's wide open now. Like, how do you sort of assess? Well, you talk about the Bengals in particular and how they'll respond, but it's only 2 weeks. What's the landscape of the North like going forward?
I mean, yeah, wide open. And I think most people know who have listened to us for a long time. It's not like any of us are them people where it's like, oh, I hate the Lions or I hate the Bears. We're very we talk about all of our NFL teams. We're not particularly. It's only really one or two of us who are a bit more divisional hatred, but I sort of get it. But we're not like that. The Bengals feel robbed. They will feel robbed just because of how tight that game was. And I think maybe
it wasn't a flag, was it? I want to ask you both that. I didn't think it should have been called.
Oh, really?
The pass interference one.
I don't think it was, but there was a similar one in the
absolutely.
game.
I think it was a flag all day long. I mean, when I said robbed, I feel like they will feel robbed because of the scoreline and the flag, but they shouldn't feel robbed. I
think it was a physical. I only say that obviously, I know he was there early, and I could see why it was given. I just feel like it was a game. It was a typical case of a physical game the whole way through, and then at the end something gets thrown, which probably hasn't been called throughout the duration of the game. I think there were some other incidents.
I can get that. I can get that, and I can understand that, and I can understand. We have many occasions on this podcast with other teams talked about the unfairness of flags and biasness and refs and stuff like that. And when you are that good and when you are king of the mountain, unfortunately, sometimes you do get a little bit of a favourite call. It happens in our football here,
of course.
It happens in all sport. Unfortunately, I think it's right at all, but I don't think you can complain about his flag. Like, yes, you can complain about the other ones maybe within the game, but I don't think you can to complain about it too much. In terms of the FC North, it does play wide open. What the Browns are 1-1 now, aren't they? They won at the weekend. Off the top of my head, obviously Ravens and Bengals.
Maybe the Jags, which was impressive.
Yeah,
Well, no, impressive. I mean,
pretty bad.
I'm only saying that because I picked the Browns to win. Everyone was picking the Jags, so I just wanted to throw that one in.
Fair. And we're 2-0, and it does keep it really fresh within the division. It's not going to be the exact same at the end of the season, I don't think. I think Ravens and Bengals are certainly going to pick up some wins along the way. The Steelers are certainly going to pick up some losses along the way. I think the Browns is the only team that sort of we know what they are in this division. Like, I think we're still sort of finding out stuff about the Steelers, about the Bengals and the Ravens, whereas I think the Browns have I feel like we know what they are at this point, and it's not a particularly good team, but they've still got some studs on that team, and they can keep themselves in games, and they'll definitely sneak some wins here and there. So yeah, it keeps it very fresh. It keeps it really fresh. I think it makes it, for a Steelers fan, it makes it a lot more fun us being top of it, obviously. Not just because we're top of it, but because, if we'd all been 2-0, then it gets a bit more nail biting. Whereas this, some of these results now, I know it's week. We say it's week 2 and it's really early, but when it gets to week 14, 15, some of these results are really going to matter, especially when they're against each other, which will be for most of our teams in the latter half of the season, especially for the Steelers anyway. So yeah, keeps it wide open, but the Bengals are still there. They've got a lot of tidying up to do. Just a lot of tidying up to do. They had 8 penalties on the day as well.
Mm-hmm.
And again, Higgins back is going to be a massive thing for them. I think there's a lot of noise around the chase thing. I think a lot more noise than maybe the Bengals are actually doing. I think it's actually a lot more outside people creating this noise rather than maybe inside the building with Jamar Chase. So yeah, very interesting game. It'll be interesting with Chiefs losing Pacheco. That's a huge blow, I think, for them.
I was just about to ask Adam, because me and Adam were 2 of probably his biggest fans, or even that Super Bowl where they beat the Eagles. Everyone knows how much I like him. That's a massive loss, because I don't think they're as equipped as they probably have been in years gone by. Edward-Helaire has his own injury problems. There's Carson Steele, P. Ryan. I don't know, Adam, how does this impact the Chiefs offense? I know it's Mahomes, but Pacheco's there, but he is a difference maker, and he does balance out that pass-heavy offense at times. No?
Yeah, but they'll just get Jerick McKinnon back and they'll be fine, won't they? That's what's going to... it happens all the time. It's the same. It's Patriots Mark II. It's the same thing.
I wrote that down. I didn't want to say it, but it was.
The only comment I had on this game was Chiefs just doing Chiefs stuff. That's what the Chiefs do. There's nothing else to it now.
Is Kareem Hunt still out there? Is he at a team?
Probably, yeah. He'll come in. They'll find someone.
Dalvin Cook's out there. Dalvin Cook's a player they think about.
Yeah.
Obviously, anyone. Dalvin Cook's on the Cowboys practice squad, but Kareem Hunt released by the Browns, so Kareem Hunt must be available. So I think that could be the scoop for him. That could happen.
That's the scoop.
That's the scoop. Kareem Hunt's going to the Chiefs.
They'll find someone. They'll get someone off the street and they'll just put him in a uniform and he'll run for 100 yards and everyone will be, and they'll be happy and they'll get a few penalties in favour of them. And
she's calling up plays. She could find a running
back. Taylor's up there having a whale of a time. Every time there's a touchdown, I get to see Taylor Swift. That's what we all want to see, isn't it?
On that though, Kelsey's not looked mega impressive to start.
No.
He's got a bit missing.
Do you know what? This is what I don't get. I understand it. I'm going to go on a rant here. I get the logic that they want to go to Taylor Swift because it generates money and all that stuff. Can they not go to her when Kelsey scores though? Or when Kelsey catches something? It's like the Chiefs score and they go to her. It's like there's no connection to the person who scores. That's my only thing.
They used to do the same with Brady and Giselle. Maybe I'm just used to it. Like, they used to always be a thing. Like, I think...
What? No matter what. Yeah, but at least Brady would throw the ball.
Yeah. I know what you mean with... There's got to be... Look, I know we're sidetracking, but I think even Haley Steinfeld with Josh Allen asked to not be put on TV. So there's obviously conversations that go behind where maybe there's some marketing to be like...
I'm just being a grumpy old person, I know. But I'm just saying, maybe a tinsy bit less.
I'd rather just not see them at the US Open, but seeing the NFL is fine. But no, like we said, we've got nothing really else to add on the Chiefs. So even I wrote down, hate to agree with Adam, but this was very Patriots-like.
Yeah.
Usually I'm quick to dismiss that, but yeah, we'll move on.